Coach Franklin, thanks so much for joining me. I'm sure you were very pleased to talk about a certain tight end the Steelers picked up in the second round of this draft, Pat Freiermuth. I want to start about the team captain aspect of him not going on the field yet. Just what makes this guy tick, and why did guys in your locker room gravitate towards him?
Well, I think the first thing is Pat loves football. Comes from a football family. He's got uncles that are coaches. Mom and dad are phenomenal. But he just comes from a football family, and Pat loves football. And I think there's a lot of people nowadays that like football and like the things that come from football. Pat loves the game. And, I think he's got a really good perspective. He's a guy that can get along with anybody in the locker room, but I think he kind of views things and looks at the game from a leadership standpoint, very similar to how coaches do. He's what I would describe as a culture driver. You can't have enough guys like Pat in your locker room. He instantly, without making any plays on the field, he instantly makes your organization better just by the way he goes about his business.
Have you had a chance to speak to him since all the excitement of finding out that he is a Pittsburgh Steeler?
Yeah, we have a really close relationship, him and mom and dad, the whole family. And, we spoke a lot. He was up here a bunch before the draft, training and getting ready. And then obviously right after the draft, we spoke as well. So, we're really proud of him. I love the fact he's right up the street. It's interesting. A lot of our Penn State guys, for the most part, have stayed in the region. Which is great because it just makes it easier for them to come and visit when they have opportunities.
He's coming into a Matt Canada offense. Ben Roethlisberger is back. They obviously invested in the run game through this draft and what they've been doing this offseason. How does Pat fit in your eyes in terms of what he can do, especially as just a two-way tight end?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, in the passing game, he's a contested catch guy, which those I think are really valuable, at that position. If you look at maybe some of the other tight ends or you look at some of the other, matchup guys in the NFL, Pat's going to be the guy that he's going to have his production just being that unbelievably reliable guy for Ben or whoever it may be to go to on third down or as a second outlet. Where he made a killing for us is in the red zone. He made so many plays. He made so many contested catches and was just so productive. And then he understands, being a more of a complete tight end. Some of these guys that they're calling tight ends now out of college, they're not really playing tight end. They're big wideouts. And Pat understands the importance of the running game and the tight end's role in it.
Can you elaborate just on the blocking, the physicality, just his demeanor in terms of how he plays and is not afraid of that kind of contact either?
Yeah, I think it's the way I would describe it is, again, he embraces his complete role of being a tight end. I think there's some tight ends out there that are extremely physical in the run game, but are limited in the pass game. There's guys that are really good in the pass game, but are limited in the run game. And Pat is more of a comprehensive, complete tight end that can do it all. And I think that becomes fun as an offensive coordinator, because if you're a tight end that's really just a run guy or really just a pass guy, everybody talks about creating matchups with the tight end. But if you know that they're really only using this guy as another offensive lineman, or they're really only using this guy as a wide receiver, then it's not as difficult to defend. But when you're a guy that can be lined up as a slot receiver and function in that role, but now also they can motion him back to gain a blocker in the box, that's where tight ends can become really important in your offense.
All right, what's something we don't know about Pat?
He's kind of goofy. and silly in a good way.
Okay.
I think a really important characteristic is for people to laugh at themselves and not take themselves too seriously. And Pat's a guy that, he knows how to interact with coaches. He knows how to interact with players. He knows when it's time to have fun, and he knows that time where it's not this isn't a time to be messing around. We want to be locked and loaded and focused on what we're trying to do. So he's just got a really good way about him. He's very mature. He'll be great in the community. The people will love him in the city of Pittsburgh. They really will. He's a blue collar guy. So I think the city of Pittsburgh will identify well with Pat.
All right, and I did want to ask you about Lamont Wade, obviously a Pittsburgh kid getting signed after the draft by the hometown team. How do you see this transitioning working well in his favor?
Well, what a great story, for Lamont. Grows up not far, from the stadium. Got an unbelievably supportive family. One of the most highly recruited guys in the country. Obviously, the knock on Lamont out of high school and the knock on Lamont, I think, in the NFL was he's a little bit undersized. But Lamont's been the guy that he has beat the odds and overcome adversity his entire life. He's a survivor, and he's going to find a way to be successful. He did it in high school. He did it at Penn State. And it won't surprise me if he does it for the Steelers as well. What an unbelievable opportunity for him, and what a great story for him to be able to put on the black and gold and play in that stadium, which he's played in a lot, because obviously, as we all know, the WPIL championship games and playoff games are there. So, what a great story, and I couldn't be happier for him and his family.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great one.